Check, check, check. Welcome, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Good to be back with you guys again. I think this is like a record or something. I think I've done 3 of these in a row, maybe just 2, but it feels like it's a record. Good to see everyone. We've got several people already in the chat, including Doughboy God, Chris Beals, who has a question we'll dive into. Brandon, good to see you, brother. Wouter, Ben's Watch Club, Mr. Camera Junkie. I'm starting to see a theme here. Gee Whiz, Alexandro, Heroic and Angels, Watchmaker FS, and others, my wife included. So good to see everybody. Welcome. A couple bits of housekeeping before we dive in. Actually, I don't even have my browser up. Oh boy. But below this video, if you have any questions about the live streaming setup, I'll just go ahead and let you know. There's a link down below that has a video talking about this entire build and all the information about what I use to make these streams happen. There's also a link to used gear that I'm selling. So let's see if it loads here. Is it going to load? There it is. So here over on Gear Focus, I'm selling a bunch of stuff. So if you want to score, I don't know, an Aperture 120D, anamorphic lenses, a ton of flexible foldable lights, LED tubes, all this stuff is linked to in the description. We've got some E-mount lenses, camera rigs, all kinds of fun stuff. So check that out if you're in the market for some gear and want to save a couple bucks. And I think that's pretty much it. If you want to, support the channel, you can check out my camera guides at academy.dslrvideoshooter.com. Excuse me. The link to that is also in the description. So what we do with these episodes of Video Production Helpline is ask each other questions and try to help you out in the chat, help each other out in the chat, and I'll do my best to get through as many questions as possible. And we're going to start at the very top. Chris, you had a question here. I have a slightly used Sony NEX VG900 with multiple aftermarket lenses, 4 different Sony A lenses with their adapters for autofocus. However, I'm considering selling this full-frame camera for newer tech. I've been told numerous times that knowing your equipment is more valuable than buying the latest and greatest, though. While I would agree with part of that, it's definitely great to know your stuff. I would say that particular camera, it might be, the potential is insane because I know that camera well. I've reviewed it. I think that came out in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. Things have moved to ridiculous land. So if I were you, I would go rent yourself an A7 IV or an A7S III. Or even something like an A7 III from Sony. Would be a massive leap, and you wouldn't be spending too much on that particular camera. Autofocus is amazing. Give it a shot. So I would recommend going that method. If you still want a more cinema camera, you can definitely go with something like an FS5 or some of the new FX cameras. By the way, we have a new camera potentially coming out from Sony. That's pretty exciting, right? I don't know anything about it. I just saw it on Sony Alpha Rumors, the FX30. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Great question. Let's move on down here. And what's up, Brandon? Good to see you, brother. Baron, good to see you. Good to see you. Tom Buck, good to see you, my dude. Man, it's great seeing all you folks. Mr. Camera Junkie, of course. So if you have any questions, did I say anamorphic? Yes, Brandon. Selling a bunch of stuff. So the link is in the description to that Gear Focus page where I'm getting rid of a bunch of stuff, and actually a lot more anamorphic lenses. Wow, tongue-tied tonight. A lot more anamorphic lenses will be going up for sale. I'm kind of, letting some stuff go. Try not to hoard too much. So, let's see. Let's just dive in here with Samantha's question. Good to see you, Samantha. Hey, Caleb, can you talk about your reason for switching from Panasonic to Sony? So my switch started with the A7S III. Really, these days I'm using the A7 IV for the most part. And the reason has been Sony finally got us a 10-bit camera. And the color on that camera is like a completely different world compared to previous Sony cameras. So I always liked the idea of Sony, but could never get behind the stinking 8-bit issues. And that's why I was using Panasonic for so many years, was 10-bit and the image. And I still love Vlog more than I do Sony's image. But Sony's gotten good enough to where it's just a super usable camera. That A7 IV is pretty much the perfect YouTube camera, in my opinion. So that's kind of the reason why. Next, we've got Owen with what would be the best stick mic for YouTube videos. Do you mean like a shotgun microphone? In which case, I've done a video on that. I think on the budget end, the Rode Video Micro, or is it the Video Mic Go 2 Mark II? That's kind of my current favorite budget pick. So yeah, I would say that's a good one to go with. Yeah, Tom Beck showing up again. Repeat offender. What else do we have here? Do you have any, what do you think about the new Fuji X-H2S? Any reviews upcoming? I will not be reviewing that camera at this time. I kind of talked about it last week. I'm kind of, at least for now, kind of just a little burned out on camera reviews. If you look back at my channel, I've done camera reviews for sure. The channel is DSLR Video Shooter. But and that particular camera, while awesome looking, is definitely an improvement. I don't think, I don't know. I don't think it's quite enough of a punch to make me as interested. If they made the autofocus significantly better, then I might reconsider that camera. But there's still some little quirks and stuff that I'm just, nothing against it. I think it's a great camera. And I've said for years, Fuji cameras, I love being behind them. But if you have to, are in certain shooting scenarios where you need more reliable autofocus, they're still not quite there, in my opinion. But that's where I'm at with that. What software do you use to show your chat questions during the stream? I use Ecamm Live. There's a link in the description. I believe it's affiliated to this software, which is fantastic. It allows me to do all kinds of wild things. I can have guests on, which I want to start doing, and I just need to do. Maybe I'll just reach out to somebody, and we'll hang out with them next week. Here. But yeah, it's really easy. I can see all of your chats. Actually, I'll do this. Let me hide my stream codes and things so bad people don't do bad things. We'll switch over here. Here's what I see on Ecamm Live. So this is actually their chat window. And I can see all of you beautiful folks. I can star comments and I can add to broadcast. So, Mr. Camera Junkie, I can just hit add to broadcast. Oh my goodness. And I can ban people from here. So really, really handy. And that's just one of a ton of great features. I can actually start the stream from Ecamm. I don't have to go to YouTube or anything. So it's really, really powerful stuff, but it's Mac only. That's the only gotcha you got to keep in mind. All right. Sorry, I'm closing all my chat windows here. There we go. So that's that. Next question. I'm starting out as a documentary filmographer. Nice. And hesitating between two different camera systems, the new X-H2S and the Pocket 6K Pro. Which would you recommend? Woo, that's a tough one. But if you're going into documentary filmmaking, I would say Fujifilm. And if I can still persuade you, maybe Sony or Canon. It depends on the style of documentary filmmaking you're going to be doing. But in my opinion, the Pocket 6K cameras, or really the Pocket cameras in general, are not the style of documentary filmmaker I would, that's kind of what I used to do, kind of more corporate. But you don't want a camera that's going to eat battery life, be this giant thing, doesn't have image stabilization, autofocus isn't really good. So to make your life easier, I would push toward maybe an FX3 from Sony. Personally, I think you'd be more happy with that camera. But between those two, I'm probably going to lean Fujifilm unless raw video is really important to you, in which case, obviously the Blackmagic 6K Pro, and it does have built-in ND, which is pretty fantastic. All right, what do we got? Looking for questions. Sony A7000 ZVE60 coming in November. I don't know, but I sure hope so. We really need an update to that A6600 or whatever the current one is, which is, I believe, still the A6600. Thoughts on the C200 Mark II rumor? I don't know, man. I'm not good at rumors, so if it comes out, awesome. But yeah. Good to see you, Fu Man Poo 2. Awesome. Great to catch another stream, usually at work. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you made it, man. It's good to have you guys here. What do we got here? Trying to decide between Sony camera system as a wedding photo video. Canon's color science appeals to me. Love internal raw options. Yep, but Sony system is more universal. How to decide? That is a great question, Trevor. You know, if I were you, I think your best bet, especially because you're a wedding filmmaker and your gear has to be wicked solid and you have to really know what's up. You can't miss shots on something like that. There's no take two. I would recommend you rent both. If you have friends with them, shoot a wedding on one, then shoot a wedding on the other. I imagine you kind of have a good feel for what lenses you need. So maybe get the same lenses for both, rent them, and trust me, it'll be worth the money if you rent them and test them. And it's going to be more personal, figuring out the difference between the two. I will say that Sony has come a long way with their color. So, you know, if you're going with the A7 IV, A1, or A7S III or FX3, all of those cameras are all 10-bit, shoot in S-Log, shoot in 10-bit, and it's a whole nother world from the Sony 8-bit stuff. FX3 APS-C cine camera, cheaper than the FX3 according to yes, really exciting stuff, Josh. Hopefully I just can't wait to see that. I'm super stoked for crop sensor cameras to make a comeback. Has anyone seen a list of cameras output latency values? That's a great question. That would be a really nerdy but cool thing to know. Maybe you should, start building a list. Hey, if anything, if you could come up with a system, gee whiz, that other people that have the cameras could use to test, then you could start like a site somewhere and start collecting that information. That'd be really interesting. Thank you, Mr. Camera Junkie. Very kind. The nerdy Gherkin? Am I saying that right? Hey, Caleb, loving the content. Recently bought a Sony ZV-E10 for content creation, product photography. Not familiar with the Sony lineup. What settings do you recommend? The biggest one is going to be color. So I would recommend searching for Sony Skin Tones DSLR video shooter or something. I've done a video where I talk about, on those 8-bit cameras, how to get the most out of color. So either turn picture profile completely off or use the setup that I talk about. So let's see, skin tones, let's do this. DSLR video. I have a different keyboard on this machine. Sony. That ought to bring it up. There it is. This video right here, with an ad because I'm not on my other normal browser, but why Sony video color sucks and how to fix it. That's going to give you a great place to start. Good grief. With that. So that's going to be your biggest setting, is going to be color. So yeah, cool camera, and thank you for the kind words, and welcome. All right, super chat, $10 from Robert. Good to see you again, Robert. Sorry to bother you again with the question. Never a bother, especially when there's money attached to it. Are you kidding me? No, I'm just kidding. But not. Sorry to bother you again with this question, but my sound sync continues to slip on long interviews. Changed my rate from 48 to 44. Made no difference. All right, let's get to this. The bottom of this. Zoom F6 and the Sony FX3 with a boom. And remind me of your workflow here. You're going is the microphone XLR? Are you using phantom power? And are you recording on the recorder and then running a cable from the recorder to the camera? And then what's slipping? Is it the camera's internal audio and the recorders? Those are out of sync over time? Let me know and we'll try to figure this thing out. FX3. So yeah, follow up with those things and we'll get down to the bottom of this. Best way to mount large foam boards. Ideally, looking for something to keep on a desk. Keep it as compact as possible. Great question. So if you're talking, are you talking like big foam or little foam? When I did a lot of tabletop stuff, because I believe that's what you're talking about, right, Ben? Like filming watches and things. What I like to do is literally get a couple pieces of scrap wood, 3/4 inch thick, and I just hot glue together, or even other foam boards, hot glue a little stand. And I think I've done a video on this. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I have a whole series, which Ben, you would probably get a huge kick out of. Let's see, tabletop filming series. Let's do DSLR video shooter. Videos. Come on, Google. Can't even find my own stuff. Tabletop how to. It's showing all my desk stuff. Dadgummit. Well, send me a message on Twitter. I'll find the series. Here we go with that again. And we'll get to the bottom of it. But yeah, essentially a couple pieces of wood, kind of like little clamps. So imagine 2 pieces of wood, right? The foam's going to sit in between them. I just glue them together, glue them to another flat piece of wood. And that way you can just slide the, foam board into this little thing, move it around the table. Otherwise, a magic arm or a friction arm with 2 clamps on either end. That's also fantastic because you can clamp it on the desk and, angle foam boards and stuff like that. So sorry for how long it took me to answer that, but that's probably what I would go with. Do you have a go-to lighting package that you always take out on client shoots? That is a great question, Oli, and I should add that to or dig that up. I'm sure it's somewhere in the video list. But yes, I definitely have a setup, and it's usually a pretty punchy light just so you're prepared for anything. So these days it would be, I don't know, an aperture 300D to 600D, something like that. 600X would work too. And then I love 60-inch softboxes. So Aperture has a pretty large one. I want to say it's around that size. I use I've talked about it in several of my videos, but I can't remember the name. Glow is the brand. It's 60 inches. There's another parabolic from PhotoDX that I use, but that's like the perfect size. It's a little larger than a 4x4 silk. So that's my setup. One of those on a C-stand or those impact heavy-duty stands I've talked about. Something like that would do the trick and get you a nice big soft key source. And then having lots of negative and fill available to kind of balance everything out. Cool. Great questions. Loving it, everybody. Thank you so much. So happy you're not just another camera reviewer. Your talents are much more valuable. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that, Chad. Okay, cool. Answering questions. Love it. What up, Roger? Anyone going to IBC? I will not be, but anyone else, let Wouter know. Okay, in a small room, which of the Aperture Amaran 60Xs and the P60C are best for getting nice soft light without taking up too much desk space? I mean, you might look into those Amaran mats. So another thing you could do, so P60C, yes, with the little softbox, like depth-wise, won't take up as much room, but you're not going to get a lot of soft light out of that. Another thing you could do is put a foam board wherever you want the key source, take that 60X, the Amaran 60X, put it like, so if I have a big board, imagine it here, put the light somewhere else and bounce into that bad boy. That's going to give you a nice, larger soft source as well. And then you could have it on the wall and not on your desk at all. You just want to make sure it's not like hitting you too much, you know. Good questions. Yes, 100% G-Wiz. Quacker clamps are radical. Into a magic lamp. Yep. They're big, though. Oh, there's another company that makes like a fork. It's like a 4 fork, and you actually stab it into the foam. I've seen those before, too. Those are cool. All right, we got MD. I have a small rig hot shoe mic holder for my Rode NG-G5. Bought the portable Phantom power supply you reviewed, but it makes it too heavy for the clip. Any suggestions? So you could mount the microphone as you normally would, run an XLR cable to that little adapter that I talked about, that Phantom supply, then, run your other cable. That's probably what I would go with. So you're essentially relocating that adapter. It doesn't have to be on the back of the microphone. You can just run a cable, adapter, second cable. That's probably what I would do. What do you use as a case for run and gun? So back at peak Caleb doing production, my favorite setup was mostly involving porta-brace cases. I love they're not soft cases. They're rigid, but they are soft. They're not really hard cases. I know that was rather confusing, but porta-brace, let's go. I'm sure it's one of the first ones. I think it's called the cargo case. Whoops. Wow. Cargo. So they have a whole bunch of different sizes. They have ones with wheels. This is a really nice one here. This guy right here is like, it says Komodo, but they have, they're all pretty much the same. This is what you're looking at here. Perfect. So like for a camera package, this is what I would use. My entire camera, everything I need to film with, and I would have it built inside of this case. So you can see in here, there's just kind of two main areas, and this allows you to just grab your camera, pull it straight out, power, cables, everything, start filming. When you're done, goes right back in the case. There's a lot of different sizes, so my methodology was build your little kits, right? You got your camera package, your audio bag, your like DIT station and all that kind of stuff. And I love these porta-brace bags because they're light. Pelican cases are great, but they're really heavy. And those cases are great because they're just going to help your back. And they're super well made. They're all handmade in Maine, I believe. Fantastic company, porta-brace. Not sponsored, but they're great. The Burn Box, $10 donation. He says, I'm a firefighter. Awesome. And I like to record some training content. What's the best mic and camera to use? Currently have the Sony ZV-1. I'm a beginner. So if you're happy with the camera, keep rocking that camera. If you want a slightly larger sensor, the Sony, why am I blanking here? Sony ZV-E10, I believe, right, guys? Is a good camera. I don't own it, but it's a larger sensor. You can put interchangeable lenses on there. And then for audio, your easiest solution, if you can't have a shotgun microphone nearby, is going to be something like a little wireless mic setup. So Rode makes the Rode Wireless Go. Also, DJI now has another solution called the DJI Mic, I think it's called. Both of those, super easy to set up and use with your camera, and that way you're free to move around and not have to have a microphone. So that's probably what I would recommend. One of those two microphone solutions, and if the camera's working for you, keep rocking the camera. Let's see. The Techno Pilot. Love that profile picture. If you want to do commercial documentary film work, go FX. Oh, right. Going back to earlier. Yep. It's what everyone will ask for eventually. That's true. That is 100% true. If you want to get hired on big doc setups, FX. Hollyland Technology in the house. Good to see you, Hollyland. DR10L versus DJI mic. Ooh, so they're just different animals, right, for weddings. I would go DR10L because it's a recorder in their pocket. There's no signal to worry about. DJI mic is more, I hate to say it, but influencer, and you want to, be near the camera and filming yourself or someone else nearby. Not that it's only an influencer mic, but it's definitely, you've got some range stuff to work with now. Can you even get one of those cameras? They're back ordered. I know. I hear you. That's it's just terrible. Matt Gray, $20 donation. Would you be interested in being a guest on a podcast aimed at indie filmmakers? Hit me up, man. Would be happy to chat about it. Good to see you, dude. And thank you for the donation. Matt Gray has been supporter for, day one, right? I don't know, Matt. I feel like we've been chatting for a long time, a very long time. Good to see you, brother. So you said the Pocket 6Ks are battery eaters and not good for dock work. What is a more locked down environment like small? Yeah, small productions. I mean, the way I see the Pocket cameras working great is, interviews where you can just lock everything off, plug it all on the wall, kind of borderline streamer podcaster cameras. I would love to see Blackmagic take the Pocket 6K Pro and give us a more, production ready, and they have their Ursa cameras, but something like an FX6 would be kind of cool. Or an FX, 6 or 3, but Blackmagic. If it's gonna be Super 35, then it'll be FS30. Well, I think they're still sticking with FX30, so my guess is they're gonna go FX30, FX60, FX90. Maybe that's the method they take. Kind of like the FS700 versus the FS7 back in the day. Just kind of get nerdy there with stuff like that. Any tips for advice for someone who wants to get into 3D printing? I think you mentioned you've done some yourself. I've thought about doing, this is so not what my channel should be doing, but part of me wants to make a video just about 3D printing for camera nerds. And it could be, it's essentially a guide to 3D printing, but with a spin on doing it for camera related things. So I would say get a solid printer. There's a lot of budget ones out there. Just search YouTube. You'll find a ton of stuff. Ender is going to be one that pops up a lot, like an Ender 3 or Ender 5. Get into 3D modeling. So Tinkercad is great, or just get your files from Thingiverse. And then use a good slicer. I like Prusa Slicer. It's free. It's super powerful. And that essentially takes your 3D model, slices it up, and creates a file that your printer can turn around and print with. And that's, YouTube's your friend. There's a ton of amazing channels, huge community here on YouTube of other 3D printing folks. All right, great. Well, so this comment here, I would disagree. HLG Hybrid Log Gamma is really designed for broadcast, where they're going to broadcast an HDR or HLG image. So it's really designed like it's kind of like in my opinion recording in an MP3. Yes, it's ready to go, it's ready to be shipped off, but it's not going to give you the best options when it comes to working with that file. So you want to, in the audio world, use a WAV file. Same thing. So go with log, don't go with HLG, in my opinion. But hey, people are using HLG, so if that's working for you, knock yourself out. Are you planning on building a rig? Wait, I'm planning on building a rig for my camera, but considering using a power bank instead of a V-mount battery. Do you recommend? So USB batteries, in theory, are super great, right? They're affordable. They have lots of juice. The new ones with power delivery are cool. The thing that sucks is the form factor. They're all these weird shapes. They're really not designed for being on a camera. That said, you could totally go that mount or that method. I would consider checking out some of the new small rig V-mount batteries. They make smaller ones now, like 50 watts or watt hours instead of 100. So that'll get the size down. But yeah, that's my take on it. USB batteries, go for it. Just be prepared for wonky looking setups, right? Switch to Ecamm Live. They didn't use if they didn't use, yep, I hear you, man. I totally hear it. Yep, I think they should. I think everyone actually, this is a really interesting thought that I just had. Not that maybe it's not interesting to you, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think everyone should do with their subscriptions what Plex Media does. So if you have a Plex server, or look up Plex if you haven't, it's super cool. Plex. But what they do is they have a yearly thing, maybe a monthly thing, but then they have an awesome gangster setup where if you just want to give them a ton of money, they'll leave you alone. So I think they have a lifetime subscription for $300. So it's not cheap, but you buy it, you're done for life. I think everyone should do that, even if it's a ton of money. So Ecamm Live, $300, you're out. You no more subscriptions, none of that fuss. Just give us an option, and even if it costs a lot, I think that'd be really, really cool for everyone to do. Really, thank you for that, Jeremy. Very, very nice. Good question. Okay, let's pick it up here. Recently bought a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera original and love it so far, but struggling to find good lenses. Any suggestions? Check YouTube. There's so many options. Either get a speed booster or go, for those Super 16 style lenses. A lot of C-mount options available. XLR. Okay, here we go. XLR Phantom Power. I can sync in post. I sync in post. Over time it slips. Clap sync, but over a few minutes it starts slipping. Over a few minutes, man, something is up for sure. I think something's up with your F6, your Zoom F6. See if you can get a hold of another recorder and do the test again, because I get over an hour, 2 hours, but a couple minutes, that's pretty bad, Robert. So, I don't have an F6 to go through the settings, but I would say try another recorder. I think something's up with your recorder. If it's slipping in a couple minutes, I think you should be good for like hours before you start to notice a slip. So that's definitely, I think, a Zoom issue. I mean, it could be a camera, but I have a hard time believing the camera's doing that. All right, what do we got here? Oh, interesting. What content do you consume for inspiration in the content you make? Yeah, I don't watch as many other camera review people. That's a really good question. One we talked about last week was GX Ace. Everyone should check him out. Amazing channel, beautiful stuff. I don't really watch too much YouTube for inspiration. I'm trying to think of other channels that I would get inspiration from. I'd have to chew on that one for a while. That's a really good question, though. But yeah, sorry, I don't really have an answer for you there. I have the same issue, Robert. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. Oh, no, maybe there's a Zoom FX6 thing going on here. Do you guys have the same setup? Free running time not synced with clock drift. Yeah, but if they're, I guess it depends on how they're syncing in post. If you're just using the 2 audio clips, but the point is if it's synced somehow and it drifts within minutes, that's a problem, right? I get it if you can't get it to sync, but it's another thing if it's like synced and then it drifts in a couple minutes. That's pretty bad. All right, Super Chat, $20 donation from Cameron Glenn. I'm still on the S1H and love it, but have never shot on anything else. I've tried the C70 and it seems soft in comparison. 100% is going to be soft in comparison. Do you think the S1H is still competitive in today's cameras? I don't use autofocus at all. Dude, I think you're in a great place. S1H is a baller camera, and I would say if you're happy with it, stick with it. That buys you a ton of time to check out other stuff. C70 is going to be much softer. The only other camera I might consider, it's going to be in the same league, I would say, is the Canon R5C. So if you're going to switch, check that out. But hey, if you're happy with the S1H, that's a great, great camera, especially if you don't care about autofocus. Thank you for the donation, and yeah, that's a great place to be in. Honestly, that's probably what I would recommend if someone's like, I don't care about autofocus, want a really good camera that's super solid, S1H. Okay, people are talking about clock drift. Love it. Look at you guys go. Love it. So proud of you. All right. Anyone else? Meaning I've only shot on the G7, G5. Oh, gotcha. Yep. I still think S1H is the arrived camera for your scenario, man. Would you do an episode on the best matching colors? Oh, boy. Probably not. But if you had to do that, something with raw for sure. Yeah, Chris is going to war on this time sync thing. It's great. All right. How far behind am I? Sorry to bother you again. Last week broke. Looking for budget flew ahead. For a whole set of sticks, you're not going to get too much for that. Check Magnus on B&H, or I think the FM18 is a great tripod head. But yeah, for $100 or Amazon, there's some good options. There's a lot of crazy stuff coming out these days. All right, boys and girls, we are going to scroll. Well, I'll try to stick with this here. I just feel awful when there's so many I've missed. But we'll just keep going chronological. How about that? I think we're still here. Oh. Dadgummit, I missed some. Yes, bounce light is the best. Yeah, A64. Could you ever make your own mini quacker clamps using some epoxy? Maybe, yeah. It just might not. It might, yeah. I would probably drill holes and use bolts. What settings do you use for your microphone? I don't have the settings, but I've been meaning to make a video where I talk about all the settings, and maybe I'll still do that. What are your criteria for in-camera LUTs on the GH6? I use my own personal .qs, but can't get them to read. Interesting. Maybe try .7 or 17 by 17, not 33 by 33, and try really short names. If it's a super long file name, that might, I bet you that's what's happening. I bet the file name is too long, so the camera's just not reading it. So try shortening it. Okay, you guys are talking. Cool. Cine bags. Thoughts? Anyone have thoughts or have used Cine bags? Let's help Tim out. Oh, don't be sorry. Just glad to see you, DJ Sucker Trash. Love that name, man. Using the modded Shure mic. Yes, this is the XM8500 inside of here. So this is the cheaper setup from that video. And the prints, we're packing them up in the next room as we speak, and the email will be going out for those who want to purchase them. Nice. TC1 by DED. Cool. Struggle finding good lenses. We talked about that. Link to that bag, please. If you actually Google Portabrace DSLR video shooter, you'll find a review from like maybe 10 years ago where I talked about that bag, the cargo bag. Ooh, interesting, Robert. The plot thickens. Is that true 24 or 23.98? Because that could be the issue. Oh, I'm not monitoring myself through AirPods. I just put them on at the beginning of the show so I know I can hear the music that you guys heard at the beginning. And then when the music ends, I know, I have to pay attention because I'm live. And stop putting your little comments up on screen. Man, I love seeing you guys hang out, help each other out. It's good stuff. Question. I'm stuck in the Nikon world. Oh, no. The way I'm shooting, I love some Cine functionality in my lenses, but the only one I can find at F-mount is the Rokinon Cine DS. Is it worth it? I mean, another option is just buy vintage Nikon lenses and put cinema rings on them, or gears, or whatever. Yeah, I would go find, I'm sure there's somebody out there selling, do close modded F-mount lenses. So if you just do, Nikon F-mount cinema lens, I would say that's probably your best bet. Matt, great. Yes, I'm old. There you go. MSRP on eBay if you're looking for an FX3. Small update since last stream. I bought GH6 because I couldn't wait for Sony. Very happy with it. Yep. It's a great little camera. It is a fantastic little camera. Have I ever had a chance to work with the old cameras? So no. I'm hoping someday maybe to, and to do a video on them. But I think I just did the F3 and the FS700. So super cool looking. F55 also. Yeah, 35 and 23. It's pretty baller cameras. What about Fuji X-T4? Yeah, I would say that could work. Yeah, those have been pretty good performers in the field, and they're tested now. They've been out there for a while. So I would say those, and heck, if you use their cinema zooms, now you've got a really nice dock setup. Let's see. Okay, Hollyland, I hear ya. Hey Caleb, have you seen the new Sure 125 adapter? What do you think about it? Maybe I have, and maybe there will be video. We'll have to wait and see. Let's see. Questions. What do you want? Oh, do what you want. Right on, dude. Yep. I hear you. Yeah, I would say zoom it definitely in the middle is a great idea. That's, if at all possible, why not, right? Then it gives you 2 recordings to have as a backup. I have a C-stand and a shotgun mic. What's the best, safest way to attach said mic to the stand? So if you have a C-stand, you could get what's called a spigot, which will go on the end of your C-stand arm. Then on the end of that, you'll have a 3/8 or 1/4 20. That will thread into a shotgun mic mount, and that's the best way to go because everything's clamped down, screwed down, nothing's going to drop on somebody. Or use a boom arm on what's called a boom arm holder, or what can be also called, I believe, a fish. I don't fish, but you can get the fishing pole holders, same thing. That goes in the end of your grip head on your C stand. And then you would run your pole and just have a pole, a boom pole. What's the best way to soften an LED panel on the go? I mean, what I'm using right here, I don't know if you can see. I've got just a sheet kind of diffusion. You can buy it on Amazon. Just search for like light diffusion sheet. And it packs down to almost nothing. So a buddy of mine turned me on to just have like a C-stand or a boom arm and buy essentially this sheet and then punch a light through it and you're done. And you can ball it down to this big inside of your camera bag. So it's pretty brilliant. Time for a second channel. Oh, what's up, Aaron? Good to see you, man. I wish, but sheesh, it's enough doing one channel, I think. And you got to keep hobbies hobby, right? Duct tape. Nice. There you go. Will I review the R5C? No, for reasons we've talked about in this and last week's stream. But I have one, and I will be selling one. So if you want to save some money, I'll probably be selling that at a slight discount. But I have to finish designing something for it and other cameras that I'm really stoked to talk about eventually. All right, thinking about investing in a great-looking, long-lasting 7-inch monitor for on-camera wireless directing. Small HD, yeah, I would say right now Small HD is still, or has become, a really good move. Otherwise, I know a lot of guys are really enjoying, this is not sponsored, OC. Really, no one sponsors me. I don't know why I have to keep saying that, but I do. OC, so the letter O, SEE. They're making really interesting stuff. But yeah, if you want something just rock solid that's going to be an investment, Small HD is great. But man, it's expensive when you're looking at even 7-inch monitors. But when you start going up to production monitors, it's brutal. All right. Yeah, so if you do that, you're kind of defeating the purpose. But yes, you could do that. Right on. I can dig it. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Question. Ben's Watch Club. Any recommendations for side gigs for YouTubers for this impending recession? Desperate times call for desperate measures. Side gigs for YouTubers. That's an interesting thing to consider. I mean, is your watch thing like your main thing right now, or is it also something you do on the side? I would definitely stick with it. That's a good question. I mean, if we have a proper like really, really bad situation, I think all of us are going to be looking at something different. But I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like taking YouTube skills and doing something with them. Like if the grid goes down, I don't think there's another way to do that. But you could definitely film things or look for ways to help other companies who are trying to get the word out. Or, you know, like someone like you, a lot of tabletop kind of stuff. You could essentially pitch, you know, filming for other brands on making reels and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's the nice thing about filming YouTube videos is you are essentially learning how to do video production. And then you just add clients to that and you've got a production company. Andrew, have the S1. Love it, but the low-res slow-mo options really bother me. Do you think that jumping to the XH2S is worth the upgrade? Yeah, I think you'll, you know, downgrade in size of the sensor, but that camera looks pretty solid, so I think that'd be a great move. Or if you can swing it, if you love the ecosystem and love vlog, the GH6, pretty sick setup as well when it comes to slow motion. I also love the idea of like cameras for specific things, right? So your full frame A cam, and then when you want some B-roll, you just whoosh, GH6, all the settings are dialed in, ready to go. I think it's a great reason to have more than one camera. What? Plex is now $120 for a lifetime. Awesome service. Yes, Plex is amazing. Was it higher than that before or lower? I think it was a lot higher. I remember paying. I feel like the pain was worse than $120 when I signed up for the lifetime. But that's great. No, I think that everyone should do that. That'd be so cool. All right, what do we got here time-wise? 4:48. All right, I'm going to scroll down to see if I missed anything up. There it is. Alex Miner, $5 donation, your weekly bribe. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good to see you, man. As always. Legendary dude. Go check out his channel, Alex Miner. And we got Wannabe Films. Let us know about the R5C sale. I could use one for my B camera. Nice. Yes. Editing for YouTubers on the side. Very fun. There you go. That's a great recommendation, Matt. Yeah, actually. Assistant editors. Everyone's looking for editors all the time. Recession idea, winning cheap watches. There you go. All right, let's see. We're down here. GH6 4K 120 is sexy. Yes, it is. It's quite nice. When are you going to review the R7? Not sure yet. And that one I think I will review, and we talked about it last week. But I'm still kind of playing with it. I just need to find time to really mess with the camera. Love the multicam option, but don't have the cash. Oh, okay, I hear you. All right. Slow motion. Yeah, you could go FS700. Yeah, I mean, if you're only going to have one camera, maybe you might as well, yeah, make a switch to something that's a little more solid. If you can, wait till the end of the year, you know, because we still might see stuff at the end of the year. I don't have any insider information, but you never know. Just check the lifetime pass was 75. Oh, so it's gone up. Interesting. All right. There you go. Oh my goodness. Recommendations for Canon. Does anyone have any suggestions for a video camera pref under 250? Preferably Canon. I'm going to say a DSLR. Go find yourself, what is it? The something one. The number one. SL1? You know, you're going to have to go old school. Or what I used to do when you need another camera real cheap, go find one like a broken eyepiece that you don't care about, right? If you're not going to use the EVF, something like that. All right. Your preferred camera shotgun mic. Wait, your preferred camera mount shotgun mic. That's also fairly affordable on the A7S III. So many options out there. Rode, current right now, Rode Video Mic Go 2. They have so many models, it's hard to keep track of it all. That's my favorite budget option. Or if you want one for $50, the Deity. Oh, geez. Just there's a Deity microphone that's $50. Look for that. 3.5 millimeter. Done. Easy. $50. If you're a YouTuber with a quality channel that does consistent numbers and you're pigeonhole yourself as an editor, videographer, in my opinion, you're missing out. What? If you're a YouTuber with a quality channel that does consistent numbers and you pigeonhole yourself as an editor, I'm not sure I get the comment. Maybe I'm missing the context there. Question, do you still think it's worth buying the A7S III for video, or do you think there are other cameras? So it depends on what you're doing, right? If you're in general doing production, it's still a great camera. You're saying the A7S III, right? Yes, still a great camera. For YouTube type stuff or anything where you're not moving the camera quickly, I prefer the A7 IV for that 7K oversampling, because I can take, if you watch my last YouTube video, or wait, my upcoming YouTube video, really any of them, I crop in all the time. You can't really do that in the A7S III. On the other camera, the A7 IV, you can, because you have so much resolution, sensor resolution to work with. Let's see. 3 GH5 cameras, shoot mostly interviews, B-roll, never use 120 on the GH6. Worth upgrading. Slow motion's pretty baller, man, on the GH6. Yeah, it's a wild camera, and I know you're a huge GH5 camera fan, and I love that camera. It's still great. But not only is the slow motion great on the GH6, everything about that camera is incredible. The luminance spot meter, all the little yummy additions is just phenomenal. SL1, there it is. Boom. EOS M, 100%. Great recommendations for budget cameras. GH4 for 150. Nice, dude. G7, yeah, that thing is still kicking. That's so old, and it's still being sold new. It's solid. Yes, Jeremy, that's how I read all caps in my head when I see someone. It's just like screaming and yelling. Okay, what are you doing in here, man, with that kind of coin? Super chat, $50 from Alexander. Any recommendations for shooting vertical content for YouTube Shorts? Trying to rig, make it most intelligent, but wait a second. Trying to rig to make it the most intelligent, but struggling with ergonomics in portrait, using the R5C and the red V-Raptor. Sick. Well, thanks for the donation, man. What I would probably do is, and you're in a great place with especially the Raptor, because it's a box, get a cage, and make sure however you're going to rig it up, make all that stuff quick release. Either look into NATO equipment, NATO clamps, so a handle that can slide off and be mounted somewhere else. But if I were you and I was constantly switching back and forth, just use quick releases on the bottom and the side of the camera so that you can just pop the camera off, rotate it 90 degrees, and lock it back down on your rig. So instead of having just a base plate on the bottom, put a cage on the camera and have a base plate on the bottom and the side so you can just go back and forth. Probably that's your best bet. And then there are monitors that auto flip. I don't know if that would be at the caliber of cameras you're using, which is delightful. So well done. That's quite nice stuff. I believe you could probably swing a small HD monitor. I believe those have auto flipping capabilities. Or at least they would have, you could use the joystick to go over one, and now you're in vertical mode. That's probably what I would do. So you can just quickly flip things around. Do the same thing with your monitor. Put 2 mounts on it. I did a video not that long ago on it's something like, this tiny accessory changes everything. That thing's awesome. You could put mounts on either the bottom and the side of your monitor and be able to quickly flip those around. Stuff like that. Quick releases in 2 modes so you can quickly switch back and forth. Thank you for the donation. Great question. And that's a sweet setup, dude. R5C and V-Raptor. Baller. Abigail Pike, what's up? Sister hailing from a state over. Good to see ya. All right. And with that, we got another donation down here. Let's hit that. Domson, what diopter do you recommend for anamorphic lenses? Oof. I've not used a ton. So I know oh man, what's the Anamorphic channel? Why am I spacing out? The Anamorphic channel on YouTube. Anamorphic on a Budget, I believe it is. He's done a bunch of videos on those. I've used the SLR Magic. I've purchased those in the past. And I'm blanking on any other ones, but he's definitely done a better job talking about diopters. So I wish I could help you more. Thank you for the donation. What else? I think that's going to wrap it up, guys, because I got to go fix a leaking shutoff in my basement. So I've got to go to the hardware store. And but hey, awesome questions. You guys killed it tonight. Thank you for everyone who jumped in and helped other people out. I love seeing that. I love hanging out with you guys. Next Wednesday, I don't see why we couldn't be right back here. Same time, same place. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for hanging out and spending an hour with me. And we'll see you next time. Have a great night.